Hello guys, I'm super excited today to start batch number 10 of SQL DBA training. I am Ravi and I focus on job oriented practical approach. Today is our SQL DBA demo and we'll focus on the demo and what is covered in the demo for today. And the agenda for today is explanation about me, SQL Server introduction, why SQL, topics covered, tips and tricks, and the placement assistance related information. The placement assistance is a complimentary part which we provide to our members after completion of the course, and the tips and tricks to get the job easier. What are the points to follow for the SQL DBA job to get the job and to work on the floor of the job. And about me, I am Ravi, presently working as SQL DBA lead. I have 10 plus years of experience as a SQL DBA and with overall experience of 16 plus years into IT industry. I love supporting people who are keen on getting into IT industry or on SQL DBA job roles. Being a SQL DBA, I am happy to support the people who are looking for job into SQL DBA. SQL means SQL DBA. SQL means Structured Query Language Database Administrator. So my training objective is I focus on tasks which are frequently done on the job floor, wherein instead of going through a power slides, I focus mostly on the task. So if you see here the training benefits, wherein you'll be getting a job ready training with interview perfection approach, where the task will be assigned based on the concept and you will be working on the real time approach on the real time task, and added with the guest lectures based on the availability of the guests who have experience of over 13 plus years of SQL DB experience. So these are the training benefits which you get from this particular SQL DBA training. This I treat this as a SQL DBA job ready training, wherein you will be perfectly ready to work directly on the job floor. As a database administrator, what you will be doing? Database administrator means the person who manages the data, also the person who keeps the data safe and secure, and who helps database to respond quickly and keep the database healthy. And the database administrator is also a person who makes the database availability high and always accessible, wherein data be should not go down, wherein we DBA need to make sure database is accessible at any point of time and should be healthy, wherein and the data should be safe and secure to avoid from the unknown people who should not have access on the data, because it is one of the major tasks we need to make sure before providing the access to anyone, and make sure the access should be perfectly given to the required people. So why SQL DBA? SQL DBA, why, if this is a question, I can tell there are right now 11,000 plus job openings in the job portal, wherein the data is always required. If we go to the job portal, we'll just try to search SQL DBA in the job portal. You can see there are 12,000 plus jobs as for the SQL DBA role. that is very huge, means that there is always an opportunity to be an SQL DBA in the IT market. And we can also search for the jobs in the Foundit, which was previously called as Monster. Here also we can search for the SQL DB jobs. If you see in the Naukri, you can see work from office, hybrid and remote opportunities are also there. And if you go to the Foundit, if you see the job openings on SQL DBA, you can search for the SQL DBA, and you can search here. You can see the job openings which are available in the present market. So on the top it is showing Infosys is looking for a SQL DBA, means that the big companies are also having a requirement of a SQL DBA positions. So that is, which shows there is a need of a SQL DBA in the market. So the data always increases, and so the DBA opportunities increases. And I want to raise a point here. Being a SQL DBA, there are openings, but how we prepare is the point. How we crack the interview, how we work on the job floor is the major task we need to focus on. Wherein DBA job nowadays has become a easy job because there are no development involved in this job role. So most people are looking into the SQL DBA job. So if you are the one who don't like development, then SQL DBA is the best possible opportunity to enter into the IT market. So this is the agenda which we have for this course, but this is not limited one. I just focused on the major activities which we do, which are done on the job on a regular basis, including installation, configuration, patching, backup restores, database security or user management, migration related and upgradation related, including the performance tuning, wherein we'll also focus on the daily DBA activities, and MS SQL advanced concepts of log shipping, mirroring, replication, SQL clustering, always on. There are, as a complement, I'm also adding a cloud technologies in this, which includes Azure, AWS, and I will be explaining how to create SQL DB in cloud and how to migrate SQL DB from the local servers, means on-premises servers, to the cloud. This is very important job requirement nowadays to perform migration from the on-prem to the cloud. I will be showing practically how to do, and I will be giving you a task how to perform the migration, so that you will be well versed with the concept of migration, which is having heavy demand in the market presently. As the cloud technologies are being used, we also require this particular concept of making or performing the migration from the local servers to the cloud technologies, that is called on premises to the cloud technologies. And including this in the agenda, we have a placement assistance, wherein we'll have a one-to-one session on the interview preparation, resume preparation, and we'll request or invite experts to take mock interviews to keep you the job ready person, wherein you should not find difficulty when you go into the interview or the job. So this is all about the agenda which we have in this particular course. Now if you go to the next slide, okay, the training way is mostly on the concept base and the task base. I give a concept, I explain the concept, and I give the task based on the concept I will be explaining, so that to achieve the hands-on experience on all the topics. So if you go here, if you see here the architecture, this is a basic architecture which we have the OS, which you have SQL DB instance and the databases created in the SQL DB instance. So if we go into the concept of the Azure, I will just log in into one of the Windows operating system. I'll just want to show how we will get into the operating system. So we should have an VM. VM means virtual machine, means a Windows operating system created on the Azure cloud, wherein I'll show the process how you can do this and how you can use this for free for 1 month to perform the practice on the Azure portal. So the server is ready and I am trying to log in into the server now, wherein after logging in, this is the first point wherein we can log in into the operating system. So operating system login is the first point to perform any activities to the next level of database. This is the operating system we have, which is Windows Server operating system. And the next concept or the point we have is SQL DB. SQL DB is an instance in the OS wherein we will be installing SQL DB instance. Like if you want to use Microsoft Word, you need to install Microsoft Office software. The same way, if you want to use SQL DB or the SQL databases, you need to install SQL DB instance on the operating system. So that is what this slide is showing. And in the SQL DB instance, we will create the databases. This is just an overview of how the architecture of the database operating system and the SQL DB instance we can perform. This can be a raw architecture, but there is a big additional architecture for SQL Server that we'll be explaining as the time goes on. So presently this is the OS, Windows OS, which we have the server ready, which is created on Azure. And the next point we have here is related to the databases. We have the OS, we have the SQL DB instance and the databases. So the next step is what will be there in the database. Now in the database we have tables. So this is the architecture. Initially it is an OS, after that SQL DB instance, after that we'll have databases, under that we will be creating the tables. Tables is nothing but a creation of rows and columns. Rows including like rows name, email ID, phone number. Like that you will have the data of the into the tables. This will be saved into the tables. So for giving an overview, I am just added a small picture related to the operating system, SQL DB instance, databases. Under that we have tables which we can create under the databases. So if we go to the next points on the let me come up with that. Okay, this is Azure one. Okay, so this one you already explained you the architecture, and we'll go on to the next related to the data flow application, front end to back end data flow. So the slide which is coming up is related to the front end or the back end data flow, how the data moves from the front to the back end. Here front end example we can take it as a facebook.com, amazon.com. So that is a front end, means people who uses from the front end, the users. Suppose if you have a front end, if you have a Facebook or Amazon, think that you don't have a login and the password. Is that useful to us? Obviously no, because if you don't have login and password, we will not know what we ordered previously, what we purchased previously. So if we have a login and password, we will know we will have a separate account, what is happening in our account. But this particular data of your details like email ID, phone number, name, where it can be saved? It can be saved in the database, wherein example you logged in into Amazon.in and you entered your email ID and password. So you entered your email ID and password, but from where this Amazon.com will check whether you are registered in Amazon.in or not. So there comes the concept of database. When you register in any website, that details will be saved in the database. So next time when you try to log in into the application will check whether your email ID is already available in the database or not. If it is already available, then you will be allowed to go to the next page. If it is not available already, then it will throw the error showing that your user ID is not available or is not yet registered in the website or into the database. So let us see the example. Suppose Facebook, if you want to log in, it will check. So every login, if the login details is not already available in the database, it will show the error. It will show the login is not available, like that. It is login and sign up functionality. So the same way, the process from the front end to the database is the flow. So we focus majorly on client and the database, and the middle is called web server, which supports the application, and application server. These are called a middleware, which supports the connectivity from the front end, from the client to the database. That is an application functionality, but we don't focus on that because we want to focus on the database mostly. So I'm just explaining you to understand how the real-time market, how the real-time process flow on any application in the market. If you know this, you will have a view how to understand what is happening from the front end, how it is moving, how it is coming to the database, and you will also know the importance of the database. Think that you don't have database, as I told, the application cannot save data anywhere. So the application is not used or no use of having the application. So that important the database is. Okay. Just seeing the course content, what we are trying, what will be the course content related to this, wherein this course includes the core DB activities, which includes the installation, configuration, and patching of the SQL servers, service pack installation, which includes backup and restore activities, and database security management. We'll be looking into the migration and upgradation. We'll be looking into the concept of performance tuning and the daily roles and responsibilities of a DBA. Will also be performing the advanced concepts of log shipping, mirroring, replication, SQL clustering, and always on. So from this batch, I'm also adding the cloud technologies like Azure, AWS, and how to create SQL DB in cloud, migration from on-prem to cloud. So we'll just go into the structure or the architecture. This is not an actual architecture. SQL architecture will be there later, but initially I am just giving you an easy understanding of the architecture. So initially, to access the SQL DB or the SQL instance, we can call it as a SQL instance. So for doing the SQL instance, we need to do a installation. So installation like Microsoft Word, if you want to use Excel or something, you will be doing an installation in your OS. So the same here, we also have a OS here, operating system, which we use Windows as an operating system. The same way you install your Microsoft Windows, Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, the same way we will also install SQL Server database instance. So the Microsoft Word or the Microsoft Excel will help you out To perform the activities like if we come to the Word, you will be writing, saving, editing data and everything you can do on a Microsoft Word. But if you come to the database, for database you will be using the database to save data or to fetch the data. So these are the major importance of the database. Why that there is a need of the database? The database need came into existence to store large amount of data and to retrieve or and to fetch the data available in the database. So to install Microsoft Office, Microsoft Word as you required the operating system, the same way we require operating system to install SQL database instance. In that we will create the databases under SQL database instance, and in that databases we will have tables. So this is just a simple architecture which I am explaining related to the. We will go to the OS. We will install SQL database instance. In that we will create databases. In that databases we will have tables. So this is the flow which we usually come across when we are performing. It shows the flow how the application flow comes from the website. Example, facebook.com is coming here and checking the database details. So this is the logic or the flow how this happens. This shows how important your database is. So you have the user ID and the password and you are trying to log in, but you are not able to log in because the database is not responding or the database is not having the data. So everything, all the data, all the points of the data is available in the database. If database is not there, your application is not there. In the database, if the data is not safe, your application will not be able to access, or you cannot log in into your application like Facebook, job portal, something like that. So this is where the importance of the database comes. Example, if you have a job portal, it will show the options like login and register. So if you try to log in, your details should be there in the database, or else you will not be able to log in. To register or to insert the details of your username or password, you need to use an option like register. If you register, your details will be saved in the database. After, when you want to log in, you will be able to log in here, and you can go to the next step of uploading the resume, updating your data, like that. So that is how the importance of the data these days. So what is SQL Server? So till now we just saw the flow and the architecture, but what is SQL Server? SQL Server is a technology used to retrieve or fetch the data from the database. SQL Server is one of the programming language, but we will not be requiring any programming knowledge experience here because it is just a small queries which will be used in the database administrator. As we are doing database administration, we don't require anything related to the development. So it will be a very short and sweet queries like example, select star from, update, delete, like this. There are small queries which are required for a DBA. So that will come across in the next slides. So this is a database management system which is using the SQL Server as a technology. Why we call this as a SQL Server DB? Because this database management system is using a technology, or it is using with the compatibility of SQL Server programming. So we call this as Microsoft SQL Server because this database management system using the logic of SQL Server programming is developed by Microsoft, which is the reason we call this as a Microsoft SQL Server database. So you can relate all things. Microsoft SQL Server database means a database system which is developed with the help of SQL Server technology by the company called Microsoft, which is the reason we name it as Microsoft SQL Server DB. So what is the use? So database management system, as I told, this is used to store or save and retrieve data. So example, you are saying storing the data. Suppose you are storing the data of your name and your email ID. You want to save the data in the database. I'll show you practically in the later part, after showing you how we are doing installation, and later we'll go step by step part later in the particular how the database is stored, how it is retrieved, what is the use. Next step is related to the SQL Server runs as a service in the computer. So why I added the point here is, as I told, or as I compare, I just want to compare here. Microsoft, sorry for the typo. So Microsoft Office installation. So Microsoft Office means, so you want to use an Excel. Excel is a product developed by Microsoft. So what is the purpose of Excel? It is used to save the data. It is used to check in the data in the form of the cells. So you need to do an installation of Microsoft Office to use your Excel. The same way you need to do SQL Server installation. The same way you need to do SQL Server installation. Then only you can save the data and the service need to be running in the background. So you installed a SQL Server, Microsoft SQL Server, but suppose think that the one which you installed is stopped and it is not running. So we cannot do anything related to the data, because the service which helps us to update the data is not working. Means that, suppose if I show some information, let me show the what I mean by the service. So suppose see that you will able to see multiple sessions or multiple process running server running, all these things. Why they are running? Because there are some of the system related sessions which are running, because they are used to run the operating system. So there are some services which are running, which helps the operating system, which we logged in, so that operating system can run properly with the help of the background process. The same way, when we install SQL Server, we will also see here the process related to the SQL Server. So whenever it is running, we will be able to update data use. As I am telling, if the system related services are not running, the operating system will not run properly. The same way, if SQL Server is not running, we will also not be able to perform these activities like managing the data, editing the data, deleting the data, and selecting the data. So I just want to compare this. What is the service? The major point I want to focus is what is the service. The service means a session which runs in the background, which helps our activities to perform properly without any issue. So coming to the flow, as I already clearly told, this is just an overview how the front end. The front end here, the front end means an application like the Facebook or the Naukri or the Monster or Foundit. All these are related to front end. And the backend is our Microsoft SQL Server database, which we are focusing here on this training. So this is a backend which we save the data here. And this is the basic database usage flow. So this is an overview of how the flow happens. Suppose you are the user. You try to log in into the Amazon.com. So what this session does is, whether your login is available or not, it will start processing your data, and it goes and checks your data in the database. So if the data is available, database, as I told, database will be having tables. Think that this is a table which your data is stored. So now, as you logged in, it will come here and check your login details is available or not. If it is available, it will give a tick symbol and a correct symbol, and it will go to the correct symbol and respond to you. Login successful, and takes to the next page. The same way, your login is not available in the table in the database, then it will give out an error saying that your information is not available with me. This is how the database responds to the user related to the information it is having. Suppose you go to database and ask, hi database, my data is available or not. If it is available, it tells yes, your database is available, please take this. It is not available, it shows your database is not available. It shows an error or the information. So this is a basic flow or the database usage, how you can do. And coming to the SQL Server database administrator place in a company. Suppose if you go to a company and you will be in a confused state, what is my role, where I should be working, what is the place which I will be supporting. So to overview or the to outline, as I told, there is a front end which will have an application. Front end developers like creating websites like Naukri, Amazon, all these are people who develops. And there is an application maintenance. The application maintenance team will check the importance or the data, how their front end application is working or not. Coming to the database backend, database developer, we have a developer who creates the logic. The logic means whenever the front end person enters the data, what it does, what should it do in the database. Then the important role of database administrator. Data DBA, as important as it is, administrator is required in any company, every company which they have the business. Even say it is an Amazon, say it is a Facebook, or any company which have the business or the website, the database is required, and the person to manage the database is also required. So the place of the DBA holds here, it shows database administrator who manages the data. So this is a task. So as I told, we will have task for everything, every concept which we cover. There will be a task added to it. So I recommend people to perform the task. I will show you how to do, and I will give you a task so that you will be doing the task, which helps you to give the confidence of the activities which you will be doing in the job. So I'll go with the roles and responsibilities, what the DBA does. See, the core SQL DBA role, what the DBA does. There are multiple activities which a DBA does in the company, which is the reason it is so important for a DBA to be having in the company. So think that you have the database servers. As I told, we have database server and we have the data. You need to manage the data. Suppose think that the data is deleted or database is not accessible. The database is administrator is responsible for that, to tell what happened to the database, what is the things happening on the database. So managing the servers. Servers means So the same, the server instances, whether the instance is running or not, as I was showing that the service will be running, whether the service is running or not, any issue, whether it is stopped, any issue with that, something like that. So you need to monitor the database health. We do have an alerting technologies like ServiceNow, BMC Remedy. I will show you those alerting process also, wherein suppose as an example we will take the service should be running always for the database to work. Suppose think that the service stopped. The service stopped will be alerted with the help of the alerting tools. You will be getting in the job, you will be getting an email alert saying that this particular service is stopped, need response immediately. So like that we will log in into that and we'll troubleshoot and make sure database comes up and it is accessible. And coming to the support, as I told, if the service is stopped means that the database is not accessible, and it is called it is termed as a DB failure. So that much important it is related to the DB services running or not. So coming to the performance tuning, so this usually experienced people in your company, SQL DBAs with more experience will be working on performance tuning, wherein the performance tuning is very important concept for a DBA. Think that you have a database with 1 lakh of users. So the users, as the data is increasing in the database usually slows down, where the database administrator responsibility to make sure your database is healthy and it is responding properly or not. So, which is the reason I added a point here, database performance tuning. I have some use cases or the real time cases which is required to sort out the performance tuning issues. We'll have that in our agenda, or as I showed you the agenda. We will see that in our agenda also, as I added performance tuning, because I am actually a performance tuning expert. So I'll help you out with the points which we need to work on the performance tuning and monitoring the drives and DB files. As I told, we usually have an alerting process whenever any issue with the drives or any issue with the database files, we will be getting an alert. Then we need to log in into the server, we need to log into the server and we need to check what is happening related to those alerts. And the SQL agent jobs. Agent jobs in the SQL server is an automated scheduling jobs. Suppose if you want to do any scheduling of any activity, you can schedule with the help of the SQL agent jobs. And you will be doing in the job related to the SQL installation. You need to install, you need to uninstall. You will be requiring a requirement from the customers or the client saying that please install a new SQL server. So you will be doing installations and you will be performing the updates, service packs, hot pack. Whenever this is a product developed by Microsoft, they will be releasing some service packs, patches. If there are any bugs reported, that the DB is responsible to perform the activities. However, this is also one of the agenda in our training. It is very important because you will be doing every week. Every week you will be performing this activity of updates, service packs, hot fixes, and some other related to the other advanced concept. It will be a activities which the 3 to 4 years experience SQL DBA does mostly, creating a backup strategy. How what is the strategy we'll be using to create a strategy, and resolving tickets. The tickets which which I already told, it will be coming the tickets with the help of the L1, L2, and L3. So 1 to 2 years will be treated as an L1, and 2 to 3 years or 2 to 4 years will be treated as an L2, or 4 to 8 years will be treated as L2 to L3, and above 8 years it will be treated as an L3. So most of the L3 activities fall under performance tuning, disaster recovery. All these activities fall under L3 activities. But I will simplify the activities, and I will be helping out to you how we can explore ourselves onto the DB activities at the higher level also. So the experienced person will also need to automate regular activities with help of some tools, PowerShell scripting, but it is required for the experienced people above 8 years, but at the entry level this may not be required. Coming to the managing access related will be important part, how we need to manage the access, what is the login and what is an user. Suppose think that I'll just spend 1 or 2 minutes on the access, wherein what is a SQL access. So as I told, we will be having an OS. This is an OS. The entry level to connect to the SQL database, entry level is the OS login. First, you need to have, or you need to able to log into the OS first. So then after you will be having a SQL Server instance. As I told, right, the SQL Server instance will be running in the background. Whenever this is running in the background only, you will be able to log in with the SQL login. So this is a very important point, or the important question in the interviews. What is the difference between the SQL login and the SQL user? SQL login is a process which we logs in into the SQL instance level, and SQL user is a process which we use or connect to the database level. So all these three access is required to access a database. If you don't have any one of these three, you will not be able to access the database. So I just want to show how important the user management in the SQL DB activities is important. And we have this is a log shipping concept, an advanced concept. I'll help you out how to configure, review, and monitor the log shipping setup. And these both are advanced concepts. I'll help you out with the configuration and frequent issues which we come on these concepts. So regarding this is a task 3. As I told, each concept will be added with a task, wherein you need to do the task so that you will be getting a hands-on experience. So like that, we have types of authentications and types of authentications, how we need to do. So there are multiple other points. I'm not going deep into this because we need to get more explanation into this point by point. I cannot spend less time on this because these are important basic concepts wherein I'll need to explain you one by one each step. So this is about the today's session, which is a demo session, which I want to focus in this batch 10 of SQL DB course. I term this as a job ready course because I focus mostly on the concept and the task, not on the slides which I am doing today. Today is a demo which I was going to the slides, but on a real time it will not be the case. It will be a mostly we spend time on the real time activities in the operating system, doing activities on this particular database instances. So related to this, here there are topics, and you will be getting a placement assistance. Placement assistance includes a preparation for the interview. You will be attending the mock interviews from the database experts. I'll be inviting the database experts to mock interview for the students, wherein it will be real time interviews. We have 10 plus years of experience people who will be coming into the mock interviews. They usually in the interview panel, so they'll help out how we can prepare for the interviews and the questions they'll be preparing. And from our side, we'll be supporting the resume preparation and resume marketing, so that we'll be supporting you on the resume preparation and the marketing, which will help you to get the job as quickly as possible. So this will help out in the assistants, and assistants also helps out looking after and providing you the reference from the top companies. If there are any job openings, we'll be forwarding the candidate profiles to the companies who are having job openings, so that there is a possibility of getting the job. For this, we require at least 3 years of experience. DBAs from the companies expecting at least 3 years of experience with a package of 6 to 10 lakhs if we have 3 years of experience. So, as I told, 3 years of experience will require at least to perform some activities. What I was showing in the roles, at least you will be able to perform 50% of the task. So, with the 3 years of experience, which is the reason, as I'm telling, that task will be performed regularly, so that in the company, if you go there, you can also do that activity without any problem. And additionally, from our side, if you get the job from our end, we'll also be supporting you on the job. If there are any issues or any support required, for free, you'll not be charged for that. You'll be getting free support on the job. And you can also contact one to one for any support requirements. So which is the reason I recommend most of the people, most of the attendees, to think on that and think about your career. SQL DBA is one of the hard job requirement in the market, which is not having any coding. So nowadays, everyone want to join, or everyone want the SQL DBA course because it is having less programming, but the job also is very easier, not that much hard or difficult. Which is the reason these days the competition also increasing very much because of no development job. There is no development to be done. It is just an easy process wherein experience, if you learn the training, if you attend this training, full training, you will be able to perform real time activities on the job, which a person with 3 years of experience people can do. As this is what I am telling, wherein I have a team who works under me, because they does very basic activities which they have 3 years of experience. So I also recommend people to look into this, think about twice. And if you are really interested to settle in IT career, and if you are really interested in settle as a SQL DBA, then this course is 100% important and required for you. So I want you to take your decision and come back to the next session. This is a day zero session, and from day one we'll start the training course, and it will be approx 30 days, and 15 days, additional 15 days, we will have the interview preparation, placement assistant counseling, planning, and resume preparation, mock interviews. So the 15 days will be dedicatedly for placement assistants, 30 days will be dedicatedly for training. So I recommend you to think again and reach out to me on my WhatsApp. If you have any queries, you can message me or call me, and I'll be confirming you with the date on the actual training from sooner, once the batch is finalized. I accept the batch with maximum of 6 members. I will not go with maximum more than 6 members. If I usually run 3 to 4 batches, so as I want to make only 6 members in the batch, which is the reason I do my regular work real time. I'm still working. I do my regular work. Besides that, I give training to the batches. I keep the batch countless so that I can focus on one to one each person on the task they are having and issues they are having. So with that said, I am stopping the demo session here, and I look forward for your response. And if you feel you know someone who are looking for the jobs and who are very much interested to settle in IT job, you can reach out to me on my WhatsApp. I'll be responding to you on WhatsApp. So thank you very much, guys, for joining this. See you soon on the day one session of the next course. Thank you very much.